I wanted to make a response video to one of the YouTubers I follow. He's a great YouTuber. I actually like the guy a lot. His name's RamseyDewey out of Shanghai, China. He's a mixed martial artist, and it seemed that he took offense to somebody calling him a self-defense instructor, and then he went through why he doesn't consider himself a self-defense instructor and how he teaches people to win fights, which are the opposite of self-defense. I'm not going to get into it deeply, but he was talking about how he teaches people to get, to win a fight. And anywhere else, a cage match or a mixed martial arts match would be considered aggravated assault or worse. And he's right. He's right in that. But what's interesting is what I would like to point out, his definition of being a combat sport coach. Why do I have an issue with that? Well, I was a self-defense instructor. I emphasize was. I was just invited to grade a black belt test for the karate association that I'm a member of. And I don't practice karate anymore. And when I say karate, let me explain. What I mean by karate is what I do, Tang Sudo, which means the way of the Chinese hand, or the way of the Tang hand, referring to the Tang dynasty of China, or Tang dynasty, or however the hell you want to say it. It's a Korean martial art, okay? But really what I do is more similar to what would be classified as American karate. I can get into that in another video, but I'm not that into the karate thing, but my instructor invited me to grade the curriculum of a black belt test, but it's not really my thing anymore. That was last Sunday, and I didn't really feel like going. It's just not who I am anymore, really. I'm very much about fitness and things like that, which karate was a godsend to me and brought me to fitness in ways that other things could not because of my personality. However, what I would like to point out is pretty much every karate instructor using RamseyDewey's, and I'm going to leave a link to his definition of a combat sport coach, pretty much 100%, if not a little less, maybe like 99.9%, of karate instructors in the United States are combat sport coaches as well as self-defense instructors, okay? And I want to make this clear. The idea of combat sports, meaning winning in a sanctioned fight where it is agreed upon mutual combat. Now, the variation of force in karate matches varies greatly. Most karate matches are very light contact. It's a point fighting thing where you need really it's not light contact, but you need a clean hit and then the fight is stopped and there's a point scored, like Taekwondo rules, Shotokan rules, what have you. And that's how it is, but there is also full contact karate where people that take karate will fight against people that do Muay Thai or do boxing or do kickboxing or, things of that nature, full contact martial arts. Some karate people actually compete in mixed martial arts as mixed martial artists. Okay, so pretty much all karate instructors in the United States are combat sports coaches, using his definition of combat sports coaches. And I don't think that he should take offense. I could be wrong, maybe he didn't take offense to it, but nobody should take offense to being called a self-defense instructor. I think the main difference between self-defense, and I appreciate him saying that there's good self-defense instructors and not so good self-defense instructors. And then he went about, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly, but it'll be in the description so you can check whether I'm right or not. But he said, basically what he said was, there's the good ones that tell you not to go down the dark alley, avoid danger, remove yourself from dangerous situations. That's me. That's me. I'm willing to tell a girl, don't dress like a hooker if you don't want to have an issue. Okay? There's nothing sexist about that. It's common sense. If you're dressed like a slut, people are going to treat you like a slut. If you're going to a part of town where you know you shouldn't be going, you know, sometimes bad things happen to people that go to those parts of town. Then there's people like me that live in parts of town that aren't really suitable for people like me to live in. So you have to be prepared to defend yourself all the time. And it gets really annoying. Another main difference between mixed martial arts and karate that I would like to point out, true karate. And it's actually funny, when my karate instructor called to invite me, now it was the week prior. I was talking to him the week prior. I was actually talking to him about Joel Wallach and things like that, anti-aging stuff I was talking to him about. But what we were talking about, he was my instructor was a Marine. And we were talking about I was talking about how I have the manual, the hand-to-hand combat manual of the Marine Corps, because it's declassified. And honestly, if you look at what they teach in the Marines, more so the Marines, but also the Army and most armed forces, it's karate. If you have a competent karate instructor, the military combat instruction they're teaching you is karate. It's applied karate without the katas and things like that. They even use one-step fighting, such as the line fighting method, to have you engage in the techniques without murdering your classmate. The same as we do in class, okay? So there's nothing miraculous about military combat. It is karate. It's karate as karate was, not sport karate, okay? When I mean karate as karate was, I'm talking about gouging the eyes, ripping at the nose, tearing the lips, tearing the eyes, ripping the throat out. It's a lot more tearing at the groin, doing whatever you can to survive in a conflict. That's what karate is. Then there's sport karate, but sport is an important part of karate. And every karate school that you go to in the United States will have sport and a sport aspect, usually the point sparring aspect. Okay, but it's still, you're learning, as Ramsey Dewey said, you're learning to go toward the danger and become the danger. Okay, you're learning to become the attacker. You're learning to become aggressive. If you try to be a point fighter and you try to be passive, you're going to get destroyed. You're going to lose the fight. If you're in a full contact karate match and you try to be passive, you're going to get the crap kicked out of you. You're going to get knocked out. And that's what needs to be understood, is that karate is two things. Okay, karate is self-defense, and karate is a sport. Pretty much every karate school, and again, when I say karate, I mean what I do, Tang Soo Do, or Taekwondo, depending on, Taekwondo is the new brew of Tang Soo Do, though they are a lot different. It is actually kind of amazing. Taekwondo is more of the sport version of Tang Soo Do, but many schools of Taekwondo, there's different types of Taekwondo. Many Taekwondo schools, because most of their instructors, original instructors, were Tang Soo Do instructors first, that a lot of them have implemented a lot of the open hand attacks and the neck breaks and the joint locks and the throws and the grappling and all the stuff that's in Tang Soo Do has been incorporated into a lot of the Taekwondo. So it's hard to deviate between Tang Soo Do, Taekwondo, Chinese Kenpo, American Kenpo. What I'm saying here is it's very difficult to parse out what is a combat sport and what is self-defense, especially in a traditional martial art. Unless it's a traditional martial art like judo. Judo's not really particularly old, but judo is a sport-specific karate. Now, you have to understand this. Judo comes from jujitsu, okay? Now, jujitsu what are we declaring a martial art to be? Is a martial art pertaining to the god Mars, the god of war, which is where we get the name martial? Or is a martial art simply a combat endeavor, a combat, because in that case, wrestling is a martial art, which I would consider wrestling to be a martial art. Boxing is a martial art, which I would consider boxing to be a martial art. And I would also consider judo to be a martial art, and even aikido. Now, judo and aikido are special in a way. Aikido especially. Aikido is a weird martial art because it's more meditative. Aikido is really more like a religion. It's more like a Buddhist, Shintoist religion than it is a real martial art. It's like a religion in motion, honestly. I consider Aikido a martial art, but it's a highly spiritual martial art, unlike anything else, okay? It's not like any other martial art that I'm aware of. Now, judo, which is very similar to Aikido, judo and Aikido are very similar. In fact, there's a form of Aikido, I think it's called Tomiki Aikido, which was founded by a guy named Tomiki, which blends judo with Aikido, okay? And Aikido and Judo are very similar. The difference is you're not going to see a lot of on-the-ground grappling in Aikido. You're going to see a lot of the stand-up stuff, but a lot of the Aikido, it's almost like the people go with the flow, whereas in Judo, it's more, Judo I would say is more similar to Western wrestling. And I would say that judo is more likely to be used as a self-defense instruction, a legitimate self-defense method, than is, say, Aikido. Although Aikido is said to be self-defense. But they're all martial arts. But are they also combat sports? Tomiki Aikido has tournaments, or at least they used to, where a dude goes after another dude with like a chalk stick that mimics a knife, and they try to stab them, and then they count the marks of chalk on the person, and the other person defends, and it's kind of like a point system. And the same is done with Hapkido, or the Korean version of Akijutsu. So there's Aikido and Hapkido. Hapkido is the Korean form of Akijutsu, and Aikido is like a mellow form of Akijutsu. And that's what I think, and I'm getting way off topic here, but I think to take offense at being called a self-defense instructor is not appropriate, because ultimately when it comes down to a self-defense situation, you become a combatant, and your goal is to go toward the danger and to overcome the danger by becoming the danger. You're not going to run away. Okay, there's this big myth that you can just run away from your attackers and da-da-da. If somebody can whip your ass, they're probably going to be able to catch you if you try to run away. And you're going to have a better chance at defending yourself applying techniques that you actually know how to do that can inflict massive harm on somebody than you are going to try to run away from somebody that's bigger and stronger than you. Because if they're bigger and stronger than you, they're absolutely going to be faster than you. I mean, that's the whole thing with the transgendered men or trans women, or the men that have become women that are competing against women in high school and now even the Olympics, but high school, college, and the Olympics. The big thing is men are bigger and stronger than women, and they have an unfair advantage over women. Okay? The same is true for men that are bigger and stronger than other men. You're not going to outrun somebody that's bigger and stronger than you. You might have a halfway decent chance of fighting against somebody that's bigger and stronger than you if you know what you're doing. You're still probably going to lose. That's why I keep telling everybody, fitness, fitness, fitness. Become bigger and stronger. To quote Ragnar Redbeard, become a monstrous machine of annihilation to your enemies. Okay? And that's what you need to do, and it comes I think that there is a great overlap between combat sports and self-defense. And I don't think people should be offended. Now, what's funny is I would be offended back when I was teaching martial arts. I am not teaching martial arts. Back when I was teaching martial arts, I probably would be offended if somebody called me a mixed martial artist or an MMA instructor or something like that. And it's funny because now that I'm reflecting on that, I shouldn't take offense to that because I do have some grappling experience and things like that. But I should not take offense to somebody calling me that. But I would, because I don't consider MMA to be ethically or morally on par with traditional martial arts. I think MMA is more of a sport, more of an it's an activity. More of an activity than it is a martial art. And that's my opinion. And it's funny because now that I reflected on that because of RamseyDewey's video, it leads me to see my own hypocrisy in the sense that I would take offense if somebody said, oh, you're an MMA guy or you're a mixed martial artist or something. I would probably take offense to that. I would much rather be called, a martial artist or a karateka or something like that. But the thing is, the point is, you shouldn't take offense to being called a self-defense instructor. I think that there's a lot of honor in being a self-defense instructor. Yeah, 99% of the people teaching self-defense are teaching baloney. But the thing is, there's a lot of honor in self-defense. There's a lot of self-defense is important to the function of society. Maybe not in Shanghai, China, where they have very low crime, but in the United States, self-defense is important to your everyday life. And that's just my opinion. And I'm going to leave a link to RamseyDewey's video in the description. People can watch it.